Hi, I'm Heath, and we're going to be doing another repair video today. What we're going to be doing is setting the gap on a DTG Viper. It's very important to get this or you'll have bidirectional blur in your prints when you use bidirectional mode. So what you do first is you're going to remove the blue cover from the machine. We do have a video as well on how to do that. But once you remove the blue cover, you're going to have to move the emergency stop as well. To do so, there are two different styles of emergency stops, the older generation and the newer generation. The older generation looks similar to this. Okay, so to remove this from the machine, and this would be the machine around it, it's kind of backed up to it. So you would basically screw in the opposite direction of the arrows. Once that's removed, you can remove its set collar. And then you can take off the two pieces right here, and then you would pull it from the back of the machine out, and then you can let it drop there. Okay, and then when you remove the actual blue cover, then you can use this still. For the new style, it's a little bit more tricky. Okay, so once you remove the blue cover and you've disconnected the actual connection wire, and you have the blue cover separate from the machine, you can put it up on a table and see it. Okay, so to remove this, what I like to do is grab a hold of this thing right here and just basically pull this little sticker off. So that way the wire is just hanging free. Then you'll have this little retaining bracket that you'll basically kind of pull up on it and rotate it over. And that way this will just slide right off. Okay, and set that to the side. Has a little washer that screws around it. You pull that off, and then you have the emergency stop in your hand. So then we will have to reassemble this so we can put it back onto the machine. The way this works is I'll just slip this little collar on here just to keep it safe, and then I will line these little pegs up. You see this little red switch right there? It has to go into one of these tabs. So you have to line the yellow spokes back up with the little post, so that way it can just slide right in. Gotta make sure it lines up with that red piece as well. So when you're pushing it down, it only fits in one direction. And then once it slides down in there, you push that back over, it clicks, and then you have a reassembled emergency stop. And now we'll put it back on the machine. So we'll just connect the wiring to where it goes. It only lines up one way. Slide it in till it clicks, and then I can leave it sitting here on the machine. Okay, so now what we're going to do is power the machine back up. Once the machine powers back on, then we can start going through the procedures of setting our gap. When powering it up, I had to set my control panel inside the cover before I removed it off. So what I'll do is pick this up gently, making sure that I don't disconnect any of the wiring, and then power the machine on. It'll go through its normal startup, saying please wait, and then you'll come to that message that says non-genuine. The bad news is you can't rush this procedure. You have to let it go through its normal startup. Okay, so now when you receive the message that says non-genuine, it's that same standard startup saying that we do not have Epson genuine cartridges, and by not using Epson genuine cartridges it voids the warranty. We voided that Epson warranty a long time ago once we put a DTG sticker on it. So even though it has some core components of an Epson, it is a DTG printer. So to cycle through this message, I'm going to tap the forward arrow 5 times to cycle through it. It says non-genuine, cartridge may not perform at optimum, continue, yes or no. I hit the select button to confirm. Alright, then it reads message, damage from, cartridge is not warranted, do you accept this? Accept or decline. So I hit accept. If I accidentally hit the select button one more time, it changes the icon underneath. There are 3 sets of icons underneath there. The one that it's supposed to be in is the roll feed. The other 2, just so you know what they are paper feed, roll and cut, and then roll. If it's on any of the others besides this roll feed, it will cause errors in your printing. So always pay attention to that little icon. It looks like a little toilet paper roll coming across the top. Press the pause button if it asks you to. It'll still start up even if you don't. If a message comes up, do you want to perform an auto nozzle check? Say no. Anything auto with a DTG Viper is no. An auto nozzle check or auto head cleanings, hit no. It'll finish the startup process when it goes ready. Okay, so now we can start the procedure of setting the gap. I will take my control panel, set it back down here to the side. I will then go over to my computer and print any random graphic that you want, just some image. You can even use one that might be in your job reserve, so that way it will actually get into the print height of the head to the actual media. I'm going to get my shirt ready, and it is a very good idea to actually put a shirt onto the platen to do this, because the shirt height kind of bubbles up a little bit. So you want to set the gap to a shirt and not just to the platen surface. You'll get it more accurate that way. What we'll use to check our gap is a 2mm Allen wrench. And what I'll do is hang it off the back edge so that way the flat side is on the top. Okay? So what I'm going to do is push my platen in so that way it reads these lasers. Okay? I'll remove the little Allen key for right now. I'm going to hold the up button until it stops. And the reason the platen was so far down is when I was removing the blue cover, I had to lower it down to get to a certain set of screws. Once it stops, I let go. It adjusts down to its proper gap. Okay? So then I'm going to hit load. Takes the shirt into the ready to print mode. Okay. So then I can set this down and I can go send a print from my computer. So once we have the shirt loaded and up to the gap where it's at now, we're going to send a print job from the computer. Okay? Doesn't matter which queue you use or anything to that order, you just need to get the printer to start printing. So I'll click on my job, click on print. The machine will receive it. I will get ready with my emergency stop. Once it does a couple swipes of the print head, then I will hit the emergency stop. Okay, so now after we've pressed our emergency stop, it will be in the print height. Okay, so what we're going to do is check it first. So I'll take my 2mm Allen wrench and hang it over the edge of the shirt, sort of like that, but inside that print area. And then we're going to check the distance between the head, the nozzle surface and the shirt surface. So as I slide this across, it should just barely tap it. Okay? And then I'll also check it on the opposite side as well. So I should just tap it. Okay, so this particular printer is doing well. But if it was not, the next step would be is to hit the power button so it powers the control panel off. Alright, and you'll feel the click. Then we will turn our emergency switch back on. So that way the gap lasers are at the correct position, or that we can adjust it up and down. So I'll put my Allen wrench back on, and then I can hit my up button until it stops. So now that I've held the up button until it stopped, I'm at the print height gap. So now I can push my print head over, and I notice my gap is too far. I lowered it down so that way I'd have to adjust it. So now to adjust this, I'm going to have to come over here to the side, and I always try to pull the print head out of the way before I make an adjustment. And then I'm going to lightly loosen this screw here so that way I can make a minor adjustment towards the top of the machine. And then tighten it back down. And then I will check it again. Hold the up button till it stops. Slide it over. Still needs to go a little bit further. So you're going to do this until you get that gap, so that way the edge of the print head just brushes that 2mm Allen wrench. Hold the up button again. Till it stops. Check it again. And it should just brush it. So just kicking it. So I'll check it over here on the other side. Just to make sure it's even all the way across. If it's not even all the way across, then your belt might be walking, or your platen itself might be in the wrong position. Okay, so now that I have it brushed, now all I have to do is put everything back together and make sure that these screws are nice and tight. So now that you have the gap set at 2mm, and you can verify that again with the edge of the print head, it's that little silver bar that goes across, it should just brush that 2mm Allen wrench, and that will be the proper print height. So then when you're putting everything back together, push your print head back on the capping station, remove your Allen key, and then you will push the emergency stop again. You will have to remove it from the machine and then put it back into the cover. So to do so, I will pull out and rotate over so that way this can slide out. I'll take my little set nut off. Feed it from the front of the machine. And then put my little set collar back on there. Make sure it's nice and tight so it doesn't spin on you. And then I will line this up again. And remember the white portions. If I twist it now, it'll pop back up. That white portion has to fit that little red tab there. Should slide on pretty easily, and then you just click that up and you're good to go. If you want to, you can put your little sticker back on here just towards the top corner, and that way when you put the blue cover back on, it'll be easy to find and plug back in.